The man himself apparently has the constitution of a camel and can do 5+ hour sessions without getting up. Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/D&D to check out the answers to players, what are your DM pet peeves? Usually people are asking DMs what their pet peeves about players are, so this is kind of reversing the roles. Let's see what you players have to say about your DMs. My current one is not making me roll enough, or not rolling for me in secret, and then taking away my agency because of it. Me, do I sense any deception from this vendor? DM, no roll. No, you think he's being totally honest. Me, mentally, why did I even bother putting points into insight? Okay, I buy the apple pie from the pie vendor. TM, it blows up in your face dealing 3 damage. Turns out the vendor is a circus clown intent on spreading mildly harmful mischief. Cool. Look, DMs, I get you don't always want the players catching on to your little tricks and traps ahead of time, and so you want to just say no, you don't notice anything. But, I mean, those stats exist there for a reason. If you're not going to let them roll, or at least roll in secret yourself, then it doesn't do any good to put points into those stats. Giving his crush special magic items and nerfing everyone else's character and centering the story around hers, even though she's at best a mediocre player, 10 years younger, entirely out of his league looks-wise, and her boyfriend is right there next to her. But maybe that's real specific. Specific? I mean, yeah, it's specific, but also oddly we hear it a lot. I mean, we even have a display up on the wall in the tavern for the number of times we hear a DM favors the player they have a crush on story, so it's going up one right now. There's also this reply, a true DM plans many steps ahead. These are just the seeds he's planted. Once the DM kills the boyfriend's character, he'll get mad and storm off. Then the DM can finally step in and show Milady she's dating an immature person. She needs someone older and more mature, someone who has always been there for her, someone who gave her 10 rings of 3 wishes each because he really wants to make sure she's having a good time. Guys, don't do this, please. I always step back from a game if the GM's got a me versus them mentality. Like, yes, encounters should be challenging. Near death is drama, and sometimes characters die. But when the DM is aiming to kill characters, or is obviously very attached to a specific big baddie, to the point that they're getting upset if the big baddie's going down, yeah, I'm moving on. Yeah, it comes from both sides a lot, and I don't know why. Sometimes players think it's them versus the DM, sometimes the DM thinks it's them versus the players, and neither one of those is correct. Again, you guys are both there to make a good story and have a fun time. Yes, when you're running a combat against the players, you're technically opposing the players, but as the side of the enemies, not actually you as the DM wanting them to die. You see a large, open room. Great, guess I'll go in. The floor is lava. You catch on fire and you remain sink. Man, what? Why the hell would I just walk into lava? Don't know, but you said you did. No takebacks. Yeah, you can't really punish players for making a decision based on something that they should have known and didn't. Like, if they just walk into the room and it's trapped and the floor opens up into lava, like that's a dick move, but hey, at least it's trapped and they didn't say they were looking for traps or something, right? Like that at least has some semblance of possibility. But just saying you see a large open room and omitting the fact that the floor is very clearly lava and you don't mention like, oh, the room has a bright orange glow because there's lava on the floor. That's not the player's fault. Incorporating variant rules or optional rules without it being disclosed in Session 0. Treating natural ones as my character being a stupid buffoon instead of just the worst outcome. In a search for the right book in the library, you decide eating a book will grant you hidden knowledge instead of you don't find any useful knowledge in the library. Using critical fumbles or having fails harm other players when the specific spell or action doesn't say that it would. Telling me how my character feels or thinks in a given situation outside of mind control or mind control-like effects. You feel a great sense of anger upon seeing the ruins. Okay, so incorporating variant rules or optional rules without it being disclosed in Session 0, I myself sometimes will add new optional rules or homebrew rules to the game as we go, but I always talk about it with the players first, because sometimes it's a really cool rule that we all are going to enjoy, and sometimes the players are like, yeah, I don't know that sounds that great. And then sometimes we still decide to try it for a session and decide, no, we don't like that, scrap it. Telling characters how they feel outside of mind control-like scenarios is definitely a touchy subject. There are some times, I will say, where like a character might have a very specific backstory or trauma or something, or let's say you're playing a game where you give each character like a flaw, and someone's flaw is like flashbacks to a traumatic event. That makes a little more sense, where you tell them, witnessing this puts you into a feeling of unease, and I need you to make me a wisdom saving throw to resist a flashback. That is a little bit better, but just outright taking control of a character's emotions, it just doesn't work. Requiring the party to always have NPCs with them. Yes, sometimes they help, but it should be the party's choice to bring them along as part of the group. One of my current campaigns has a DM who has never let us players be the whole party. Since session 1, there's always been an NPC wedged in there, which the DM frequently uses to get dramatic kills on bosses or take the lead in RP areas. We have tried talking to him about it, and he ignores our wants entirely. It takes so much fun out of the game, especially since we will try to strategize and have to include these NPCs because they just poof appear in our PC huddle, even though we explicitly said we were going over there alone to talk without the NPCs. Then the DM screws with the fights to ruin our strategies. To be honest, us players are on the brink of calling it quits soon because this ruins the fun every single session. What you're talking about is a DMPC, that's not just an NPC. See, in the pirate game that I'm running, the players have a ton of NPCs that are pretty regularly around them since they're on the ship. It's their crew, they have their first mate, they have their weapons master, they've got all these people that are NPCs, and like the first mate is frequently in huddles to discuss strategy, but that's kind of because that's the point of the game. The difference is, he's not a DMPC. I'm not over there saying he swoops in off the rope and lands and kills 5 people in one go to save all your lives because he's cool and he's my character. That's not how that works because that completely takes the fun and the agency away from the players. I get that sometimes DMs want to run a character in the games, especially if they don't really want to be the DM, but no one else is willing to do it. Then you should talk to the players and say, hey guys, I really want to have someone that I build and bring with you guys through this game as well. Is that okay? And then you can kind of talk like boundaries and rules with that in the sense of, okay, the DMPC doesn't take the lead. He doesn't participate in these strategy talks, he's just there to be this badass fighter to help out the team, and if the players are okay with it, that's great. But you should never force your DMPC superhero on a party because it 99% of the time ruins the fun. My current DM is pretty much a unicorn in all ways except one. He doesn't want to do bathroom breaks and would rather have the players just leave the table when they need to. The man himself apparently has the constitution of a camel and can do 5+ hour sessions without getting up. But I don't want to miss anything, so I'm always in physical pain by the end of the session. I have to jump in and tell you how many takes it took to read the Constitution of a Camel line before I got one that didn't have me laughing through it, because that's a good line, I like that one. But yeah, the fact that he's a unicorn being the super rare good DM with practically 0 flaws is fantastic, and I get that maybe he doesn't need bathroom breaks, and that's totally fine, and he's okay with players just getting up and going when they need to. But to me, even if you don't have scheduled bathroom breaks, just saying, okay guys, do we want to take a bathroom break here real quick? Or if someone says, hey, I gotta run to the restroom real quick, you're like, okay, let's just go on hold for 5 minutes and you guys can do what you need to do, then that's good. You don't want to continue the story without someone because they're in the bathroom. Don't give me a puzzle I can't solve so you can do a dramatic reveal in 10 sessions. It's not fun. I agree, if you're presenting a puzzle that seems to have a solution, but it doesn't have a solution, that's not a good move. If you want something that the players can't actually decipher, then make it pretty clear. Now, I'm not plugging Baldur's Gate 3 here, but I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and there's some points where you go up to like a plaque and it says the text is too ancient for you to read or something like that. And it's not even that you've made a check and failed, it's just the text is too ancient to read. The text is in a language that you don't understand because sometimes you just don't. So that's not a bad way to handle it if you want to present a tricky situation or a sort of puzzle that doesn't have a solution, is to kind of nudge the players in that way saying, hey, guess what? You can't solve this right now, but you might be able to later. But even that can be problematic because in general, if you put something in front of the players, they're gonna brute force through it until they figure it out. It could just be a locked door, or it could be a 5-hour-long puzzle dungeon they're going to want to try and figure it all out. So in general, I would suggest not putting things in that the players can't solve. Setting arbitrarily high DCs for things. The room door of an average inn has no reason to be at DC 25. I'm guessing to lockpick it. The shopkeep who's being threatened by the mob does not need a DC 27 insight to learn he's being threatened by them. The fruit vendor does not have a perception of 26 to see a stolen fruit. I don't care how long they've been selling fruit. Sometimes a DC is 5. I have this little chart on the inside of my DM screen that comes from the Dungeon Master's Guide, and it's DCs by difficulty or something like that. And it's like an easy check is a DC of 5, medium is 10, hard is 15, extremely difficult is 20, and impossible is like 25 or 30 or something. So by this standard, you're saying that a random inn or tavern's bedroom door would be near impossible to pick. Now look, I'm a tavern owner, okay? I get it. You don't want people breaking into your rooms, but do you know how expensive those fancy locks are? No, we're not throwing those on the doors. We're putting decent but cheap locks on there because guess what? People typically don't try to break into the rooms anyway. Also, I have like 20 people in the tavern who have volunteered to keep watch on things while I'm like out or sleeping or whatever. So if you try to break into a room, it's your own funeral. Oh, and by the way, just hypothetically, if you're interested in swinging by the Twisted Pint Tavern and meeting some of these volunteer guards, you can do so by joining the Discord server via the link in the description. We chat all things D&D and a lot of other things as well, so if you're interested in joining that, make sure to do so with the link in the description and we will see you there. Also, if you join the server, your first pint's free. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you've not done so already. I would share some of my DM pet peeves, but I'm a forever DM, so I don't really have many of them. Plus, currently the game that I'm playing in the most that I'm not running, my brother is running, so if I talk bad about him, I'm pretty sure it has consequences. But anyway, thank you guys again, and I'll see all of you wonderful people in the next video. Yeah, no, just go ahead and erase the 3, right? Draw the 4, yep. But 4, it's the one after 3 before 5. There you go. So that is 504 times we've heard about DMs favoring a player they have a crush on. There we go.